The Rap Roundtable.
Yes, sir. The Rap Roundtable is back on deck for the lunch breaks. You know, for our main listeners, y'all gonna pull up around noon to tune in, get your food, get your snacks, get your salad if you want to diet, whatever you need. But it's the Rap Roundtable here, Jav alongside Mace.
It's good.
No Sin, no Deanie. They had the Classic Material Show, networking, building the brand. You know, we like to get outside, we like to mingle, we like to be around hip hop. So that's what they are.
Y'all gonna hear
right
about
now.
that soon.
Of course. So you got Jav and Mace. Don't cry. Sin and Deanie, you know, they'll be back soon. It's okay, but you got to deal with us and our nonsense for the next however long it might be. Real quick, before we get into anything, if you hit that play button, make sure you go over there and hit the like button. The like button keeps feeding that algorithm, keeps us on deck, keeps us in your recommendations. A lot of people are starting, they're not figuring out YouTube, but sometimes as much as subscribing is important, we would like you to hit the subscribe and hit that bell. When you press play and you hit that like, that means the next time you open you get to your phone and you open up YouTube, YouTube is going to suggest more videos from the Rap Roundtable. And if you like what we do and you want to be notified or suggested to with our content, hit the like button and tap in with us. But Mace, the internet, you know, rap has been a little slow. You know, we've been bobbing and weaving, making content happen during, I would say after like the third or fourth quarter of 2022 being so hectic. The first quarter of 2023 has been kind of, you know, well, we got a little beef now. We got a little situation. Maybe it's just a rollout. We got to give it a disclaimer. Everything is a rollout. But Hitboy, Hitmaker, producer squabbles, both can rap. You know, what you got to say about this? Before I get into the lyrical situation with Hitboy, what are your thoughts on Hitmaker and Hitboy potentially having a slight squabble on the internet?
I was kind of shocked, to be honest with you, Jav. This shit kind of came from left. I think maybe it was the rap snob himself that threw like the little interview excerpt in the chat.
I'm gonna take that was you. That was me.
My mistake. But so yeah, you threw the joint in there. Actually, you did, because you was like saving for later. I remember now. So it kind of came from left field. You know what I mean? He was promoting his joint with Jim Jones. Shout to Jones, because you know we talk about him. You know, musically Jones is, you know, coming up. So the fact that he got a joint out with Hitmaker, who, you know, his namesake, you know, he's been making hits recently. You know, but back to Hitmaker. So we seen a little excerpt of the interview where he just kind of takes unwarranted shots at Hitboy.
Unsolicited.
Like in the instance where Ebro was kind of trying to basically say they was the two leaders of the new school, like Hitmaker just shut that shit off completely. Like at the top, made me feel like they got a little, you know, past, you know, because he tried to frame it as competitive, right? But then, you know, it didn't come off like, oh, I'm just competing with this dude. It kind of sounded like, why is this dude even being compared to me? You know what I mean? So honestly, it took me, you know, we don't see many producer beefs in hip hop, so that aspect in general is kind of crazy, you know. But it kind of threw me off a little bit. I was shocked. Had you even heard of any type of static between these two? Like,
look, I don't. No, I'm trying to find a clever way to tell you no, but no, this was not on my bingo card, and I don't think it was on anybody's bingo cards. You know what I mean? And going back to the interview, from my perspective, it sure looked like Hitmaker, because there's two hits here. Hitmaker was trying to little bro Hitboy. He was trying to flex on Hitboy. I felt like it was a situation where the words fell out of his mouth faster than his brain could tell him to chill. And once he realized he said what he said, and the way it shook the room at Hot 97, he had
the
to
reaction.
say, nah, it's competitive. But it's like you said, he was lying. It ain't competitive. You had a little, you had word vomit. That's what it was. Word vomit. It fell out of your mouth. And then it's like, wait a minute. Oh, damn. I thought about it. It's like, maybe it is competitive, because, you know, they both got hit in their name, like Hitmaker said. But then when Ebro was like, yo, you know, because he was trying to say it's cordial, whatever. So Ebro was like, I'm sure you guys will talk. I'm sure you guys will get together. Y'all gonna figure it out. And Hitmaker was like, nah, but we don't talk. But when we see each other, it's love. Once I heard that, I was like, oh, so you don't know him. He's an industry dude, so you might see him at an event or an award show. but you just said some hot shit. It almost gave a little saltiness to me. I'm not gonna lie to you because, you know, Hitmaker makes a lot of hits. Although, as a consumer of music, I feel like a lot of his beats or whatever he does are kind of cheesy because you're sampling classic songs and you just throw some modern drums on there. You're barely even changing the tempo of some of them. So it's like, oh, you're really building beats. I know a sample is a sample, right? But what he's sampling and throwing Hitmaker on it is real lazy work compared to what Hitboy is doing. So Mace, it might be some hate here.
So you know, I wasn't gonna get into the actual taste of, you know, which producer I prefer more because I was trying to be, you know, a little objective in it. But yeah,
of course,
Hitboy is on another level sonically than Hitmaker. Let's say that for the record. Just like you say, Hitmaker of Young Berg fame. Let's remember we talking about. I don't know if everybody knows this is Young Berg. You know, hey, sexy lady. You
I'm
know
gonna come clean. Fun fact. Well, I didn't know it was Young Berg until he did an interview a couple years back. And it's like, oh, this guy's Hitmaker? I just thought he was just using Young Berg's voice for a drop, not realizing Young Berg is Hitmaker.
Yeah, man. I think it was when he did an interview with Joe Budden, maybe circa 2017-18, that I learned it too. I was like, wow, talk about a fucking rebrand. You know what I'm saying?
He didn't have a choice. He was almost Lil Zane up out of here.
Listen, man, Young Berg had, you know, this is why, you know, maybe he do got a little chip on his shoulder because they basically kind of got old boy up out of hip hop. You know what I mean? And he had to, you know, find his way back.
He's a rich dude that has to tell people he's rich because people won't take him seriously.
Exactly. So, you know, the cockiness that he answered the question with, I guess, is strictly about hits. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie because, you know, we know the big Hitmaker, you know, tracks. But I had to kind of look up his discography. You know what I mean? Because once I saw this, I was like, all right, let me see who could, you know, a potential versus. And while, you know, Hitmaker is, you know, like he said, he stays on the radio, got a bunch of, you know, big hits. You know what I mean? Hitboy has Niggas in Paris. Do we forget about this?
I think so. Did
we forget about Sicko Mode?
Clearly Hitmaker did.
I think he did because that's the thing. Hitboy at this point, you know, it seems like he's past the I want to be on the radio every day. That's not even really his goal. He creates bodies of work. He works with legends. He works with critically acclaimed artists that may not be the biggest. You know what I mean? So, you know, that from the East to the West Coast, from Benny to Dom Kennedy, Hitboy is lacing them. You know what I'm saying? But you know, at the end of the day, Hitmaker, I think, you know, maybe we need to refresh your memory or something. I know it's about, you know, Niggas in Paris is a long time ago. Sicko Mode is diamond at this point, bro. When they drop Sicko Mode and that beat change happens, what would Hitmaker do in a versus situation? I know I'm kind of skipping all the way to you know,
Sicko Mode has basically 3 beats on it. First of all,
come on, that all fit perfectly.
And then you have an all-time Drake feature on there. Come on, bro. Like that's not even my lane. But like when that song comes on, or when especially at its apex in the car on the highway, when that beat switch and Aubrey get on there, I'm out. Come on. I'm risking tickets.
I remember the first time I heard the beat change. You know what I mean? That's how crazy it went. And that's the thing about Hitboy, because what you mentioned about Hitmaker is that yes, he throws 90s loops on there. He says Hitmaker at the beginning. You know, Hitboy, I don't necessarily be knowing when Hitboy is producing something. His sound is so versatile. He got shit that's super mainstream, shit that's super underground. Just like I said, East Coast and West Coast sounding shit. He done laced the game with classic 90s beats. You know what I'm saying? When I heard the Money Cash Hoes with Game in ASAP, I was like, what? You know what I mean? So it's like, Hitboy doesn't even have a sound.
Talking about what you're saying is that Hitboy did what Hitmaker could do better than him?
Better than him.
Oof.
Sorry, Hitmaker. Sorry,
and
Bert.
I think, and right now, Hitmaker did it again. There's a record with Chris Brown and an R&B songstress whose name escapes me right now, where they flipped another Chloe, where they flipped another 90s or early 2000s classic song, and it's like guys, like I'm not asking for much as a fan. But I'm just saying, if you're gonna sample it, just don't do the same. It's a remake. It's not even a sample. You're cheating at that point. You know what I mean?
And Tory Lanez was better at that.
Absolutely. We can't. That persona non grata around these parts. I got nothing to say about that guy at the moment. He made some great music though. He made some great music, hands down. But when it comes down to Hitboy, he's definitely a chameleon, and he's in it for the art. He's not chasing the radio. When you get treated the way Hitmaker got treated in rap, I felt like maybe I'm wrong, but didn't Hitmaker when he was Young Berg, didn't he have problems with Mano? Did Mano slap him?
Slapped him, yeah. That was the thing. Mano slapped him. Trick out of Detroit snatched his chain, the infamous Transformer chain, that made its rounds, like, you know what I mean? Like
he was a
Olympic
meme.
Torch.
That chain was a meme in early Twitter World Star era days. That chain became one of the first memes to go viral.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like he has to make these big records because a part of him is always going to be a guy who wants to be taken seriously in this space, whereas Hitboy is in it for the art, and he's in it to challenge himself and push the pace and push the envelope of what a producer can be. And so many guys who are Mace has a production style, Jarv has a production style, Sin has a production style, Dini has a production style. We're not stepping outside of our lane. We're just gonna keep doing the same things. I'll give credit to Metro. Metro tried to do something different on his last project, but at the end of the day, the drums were the drums. The tempo was the tempo. Maybe the sonics were a little bit different as far as like the vibe he was going for, but it was a Metro Boomin production. But then we get bars from Hitboy. I got the bars here. He says he seemed like a cool cat.
Talk about it.
But I never heard Metro Boomin do boom bap. I never heard a Southside beat without an 808 in it. I just seen Young Berg spoke on the wave. I should do him like Trick and take a hit out of his name. Yikes.
Yikes.
And then, hold on, Mace, before you say anything, let me get the volume off my phone real quick.
Get it to your bag real quick.
Hitmaker responds and says, I really just listened. Is this like your attempt to do whatever Kendrick did on Big Sean for producers? You're a terrible artist. Please send me beats. Wow.
Wow, man.
Wow. So it's getting real spicy.
That's kind of crazy because I'm old enough to remember Young Berg's bars, and those Hitboy bars is harder than anything Young Berg, the rapper, ever spit. That's kind of crazy.
But that's the thing. People get forgetful when they get successful. You know what I mean? They have it, so they think that we forgot that we would skip your video. Although I'll come clean, I like Sexy Lady. That's that. Hey, Sexy Lady. That was a little joint.
About senior year for me, you know what I mean? That's what I was listening to at the time.
But I like the beat more than the songs. Like, to me, like, nobody wanted to hear Young Berg rap. Nobody wanted anything from Young Berg. If Young Berg would have just been if Young Berg would have got in the Flow Rider and damn it, man, what's his name again?
My boy Pitbull.
If he would have gotten that, I always forget Pitbull's name. I used to like Pitbull a lot back in the day.
Yeah.
If he would have gotten that lane instead of trying to be serious rapper guy, he would have been safe. Pop rapper, makes it back when he used to drop, when you make the CDs with the 20 pop songs and his joint to be on there getting bread. If he was on that joint, now this is music volume 100. If he would have just stayed over there, we'd be okay. But you wanted to be serious rapper guy. And now you here trying to be serious producer guy, bro. Just make the beats and get out the way. You're not asking for too much.
You're not. Because acting tough is like what kind of fucks you up in the first place, right? Like
word. And then you go on Hot 97 taking unsolicited shots. Now again, this could be a rollout. It could be a rollout.
It could.
I don't like it. He didn't do it.
It might be Jimmy even looked surprised. Like in the interview, like Jimmy was like, "Whoa, I didn't even realize there was any feelings like this. You fucking up my shit. Like I might want a Hitboy beat."
Yo, you didn't peep. Jimmy was surprised and realized he had to get on board quick because he was unprepared for the static.
Right. Jim Jones, the capo himself, the Kobe smacker.
He came there for a quick rollout interview, doing the press tour before the album release, not knowing he was getting himself in a beef. Now, what if he wants a Hitboy beat now?
It's what I'm saying. You jamming them up, man. I'm sure. Ron Brown still can't produce for Jay-Z. You feel what I'm saying? You gotta watch it, bro.
I'm sure they had a talk after that interview, like, yo, bro, you can't do that. Like, you gotta at least let me know that you're gonna take a shot at a guy or who you don't like ahead of time, so that I don't look crazy on camera for 20 seconds before I realize what's going on.
Right.
Because Ebro, Laura Styles, all of them dragged it. They had the drops playing, the shorty saying "wow" in the background. They put it on blast with the air horns and everything. Poor Capo, he wasn't ready.
Caught in the crossfire. You know what I mean? It's like, life has come full circle. Jimmy done got so many people in the problems. Now it's your turn, Jimmy.
Yeah, how about that? Now he know how Cam feel.
Right. You feel what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? Well, let's shift gears. Tap in with the music. I'm gonna tap into the hit making Capo album. I'm gonna see what it's looking like. But I'm more interested in Everybody Can't Go. We need that Benny and Hitboy. I think that album is gonna be the first. I guess to me, we had a couple of overground albums that were really important. I think this is the first mainstreamish important rap album because it's been real quiet. No Cole like that. No Kendrick.
Right.
Drake is finally starting to cool off from her loss of 21. So now we need the factory reset for rap, and I think Everybody Can Go is it. And real quick, Hitboy, stop rapping. I love you. I love you. But we don't need that from you, kid. Or get a fire Ghostwriter because your flow is fire.
There you go.
But we need sharper bars. That's all. But Lil Wayne, we've been talking about
still better than Berg though.
Oh yeah, listen. Young Berg is in the Lil Zane Hall of Fame. Okay,
right.
There you have it. Lil Wayne, he dropped the record with Swiss Beats. Then we see some news that him and 2 Chainz is working on a joint album that nobody wants. Well, I'm lying. Let me not speak for the South. The South might want that.
Grove too.
I don't. Right. If I'm getting new Wayne music, I want Wayne. I don't want Wayne and 2 Chainz.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't. Wayne doesn't need a ball and chain holding him down at this point in his career. And
I don't need a second verse. When I want a second verse from Wayne, I don't need to be hearing 2 Chainz.
There you go. But the question I have for you, Mace, because I get the sense that a new Carter album is coming. I think this is going to be a very strong year for Lil Wayne. Like, this is going to be the first time in a few years that he belongs on B-Dot's list. You know what I mean?
Ah, man, B-Dot.
So, I've said some things about Wayne. Sinner said some things about Wayne. Dini has said some things about Wayne. East Coast rap fans of a certain age have said some questionable things about Lil Wayne. So, you as a resident Wayne fan, do you think that Lil Wayne in the last 10 to 15 years has been judged unfairly by a certain segment in the culture?
I'm going to say emphatically yes, Joe. I think, and I've spoken about it before. I think for a lot of people, he kind of signifies like the generation shift within hip hop. And there's like, at this point, Wayne is kind of like certified, right? Like not as the GOAT, but as one of the greatest of all time, right?
He's an all-time.
Whether you're looking at it from a commercial aspect, whether you're looking at it from the music he's put out, you know what I mean? The record label he started, like however you want to call it, Wayne is a great in his game. You know what I'm saying? So. But from a certain segment, and usually that segment is like a certain age and older, they act like he ain't shit. You know what I mean? They be like, at the mere mention of my God, they're like, what? Wayne, one of the greats? They start listing all his shit bars, you know what I mean? We done had it in a long time.
Just put my name on it, bro. Just put my name on it. You don't gotta sub me while I'm on the air, bro. Come on. I'm right here.
Listen. The man has had 1,000 verses. Some of them is going to be the same. You know what I mean? So,
word to Luke Kang.
Listen, Luke Kang. Kicking like Luke Kang, shit like the toilet. We heard it a lot. You know what I mean? Same with Pop Hennessy. Yes. Hennessy Enemies. The brothers recorded a whole bunch of songs. Sometimes you repeat shit. You know what I mean?
Fair play.
But
you shooting a lot of bill, but it's okay.
Hey, man, that's what I'm here for. So absolutely. Do I think he's been judged unfairly? Now, certain people, and I'll give you your credit, is the fact that you've actually done your research, right? You were a Wayne fan. You didn't just hear, Gilly said this. You actually studied the cadences, the bars, the you know what I mean? So there's valid critiques of Wayne, right? Discography, like Sin said, the majority of his best albums are mixtapes, right? the repeating. You know what I mean? The I've mentioned even before that even in his prime, there was a bit of a quality control problem, right? So, you know, Wayne has his critiques, he has his issues, but it seems like he's one of those people that the opinion, you know, from somebody from 1985 to 95 are two completely different thoughts. You know what I mean? And I think that, you know, even if you want to say, hey, his fans overrate him, at the same time, his detractors underrated, and that's the issue.
Okay. You know what? I see that point of view. And again, I'm one of his loudest detractors. So I'm guilty. Everything you said about what we do is 100% accurate. I've done it. I think I did it the last time we spoke about Wayne. and I tried to shoot bail, and I ended up falling right back into the trap of just listing off the things that I don't like about what he does as an artist. But I think in the midst of doing that, we lose sight of the fact that he did accomplish a lot. You know, I think after 50, he was the next guy that became like that ball of energy that built up an irrational amount of anticipation. Because if I'm not, the Carter 3, if I'm not, was it the Carter 3 or the Carter 4?
Carter 3 was the one.
Carter 3 with Lollipop, that was the one that did it, right? Like the build up to the Carter 3, the feature verses, the mixtapes, the interviews, the radio play, the discussion surrounding his name, like they use the word phenomenon a lot with him. Mania with him. It was Wheezy mania. You couldn't escape this guy. And I think he did $1 million first week, like unheard of as a Cash Money artist, as a person who's seen the rise of Cash Money from beginning to currently. There was nothing, even at Juvenile's peak, there was nothing like what Lil Wayne was around 06 through 08. And I think because of the fact that hyperbole is a real thing in hip hop, especially, like we love to exaggerate some shit.
Oh man.
Right?
Guilty.
I think the hyperbole surrounding him made a lot of people like myself and people of my age start to resent him, because it's like I stand on what I said. Like there's a lot of things that a 27-year-old Wayne fan thinks is amazing that we heard when we were like 16. And we heard like the kind of punchlines that y'all get hype off of, we heard those already. And I stand on that 100%. But at the same time, for him to be that prolific and still making songs, because again, he was mixtape Wayne, bars, but then had the temerity to even try a Lollipop. Took a lot of balls to do that, for lack of a better word, because Lollipop sounded nothing like what he was putting out to that point. In fact, Lollipop sounds like nothing he's put out since. That record was a very unique time in Wayne's career, and it worked, right? I don't want the hyperbole surrounding his lyrical ability to get in the way of the fact that he is really good. Like, again, we're not talking about a guy who if in a different era would have scored like 10 points a game. Like, to me, Wayne, at that point, he was a legit 20 a night scorer. He can get you a bucket. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that 110%.
And see, and that's the thing. I'm glad you said prolific. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. Like, just like you said, we can get into discussion about, hey, you know, I don't think he's actually better than this guy, or I don't think, you know, he's quite as good as this guy.
Right.
But we talking about a guy who dropped 80 feature verses in a year. You know what I mean? That dropped countless mixtapes that we, you know, the culture called classic at this point. You know what I mean? If there are, you know, because we talking about him as a groundbreaking, you know, all-timer in general, but when you just break down the mixtape game, he might be, you know, the second or third most important figure in that part of the game. Right. You know what I mean? You know, other than, you know, we know, you know, the 50s or the, you know, the Dipsets, you know, the guys who actually created the format. So I agree, Job. Like there are issues with him, and there are problems, you know, that, you know, as a hip hop fan, I'm not gonna ignore. But we talking about, you know, one of the greats at this point, and it just that even more so than guys who have come after him, like, you know, the Kendricks and Coles, who are still more conventional than Wayne. Because that's the thing, Wayne's style was crazy to me. Wayne, you know, at his peak artistically is like almost easier to compare to like a Cameron or a Ghostface. You know what I'm saying? Rather than a Jay or a Nas, as far as the eclecticness of his style. You know what I mean? But yeah, Job like
Busta even as far as his delivery and his charisma, his characteristics, etc.
And his strengths, you know what I mean? His strengths and weaknesses, you know what I mean? A Jada, you know what I mean? There's certain guys. So, you know, I'm glad you mentioned that. The brother was prolific, and that was the thing. And in the era where, you know, I know Job likes to say it's the you know, the weakest era of hip hop, but, you know, at the very least, it was a very, you know, kind of, remember the NBA in like 99, 2000, MJ just left, and we like, you know, we got these Iversons and these Kobe's and these Garnetts, but we don't really know where the game is going. Like, we just left, Mike just left. And that was kind of the era Wayne came up in, right? Jay had just left. You know, we were about 10 years from Biggie and Pac at that point. Eminem went on drug binges. Nas, while active, was, and you know, Nas could get in and out of the game.
He was going through some things at that point too.
Absolutely. Marriage and then the end of it. And so Wayne kind of like, you know, captured it, right? And I think what people have to remember is that the fact that he wanted to be the best rapper alive, right? I'm the best rapper alive. I'm spitting the most. I'm doing this. It was like he wanted it. You know what I mean? Finn likes to say he spoke it into existence. You know what I mean? It kind of convinced people. But hey, that's a good salesman, ain't it?
That's a fact. And I'll say, you know, it was a weak era. But it's like you could be in a weak era and get overrated by the media while averaging like 22 and like 12, and they calling you the best ever, and they putting you above people on lists that you don't belong on. Tim Duncan, I'm talking about you. You know what I mean? Or it could be like the weakest era ever, and then in fact you dominated it. It was averaging like 37. You treated the era like the competition, and the era and the competition like what it was, a little bit below average. And I think for that 3-year window specifically, because that was a time frame where he got lifted up into those conversations, Wayne was averaging, it was like 30, 34, and 37, 3 straight years with a championship. Yeah. That's what it looked like to me. And it's like, I feel like the hyperbole has blurred his success for people like myself, people like Sins, people like Dini, because we kept hearing young people saying he's this, and this. And we really couldn't truly sit down and give the music its just due because we were so annoyed by people telling us he's something that we don't agree with. And they were overdoing it because it was really ridiculous. It's like, wait a minute, can he have the rest of his career first before you call him to go? Like he's having he might have had to. I don't know. I might put 50 run in front of his as far as build up, momentum, and the 50 to 10 million. So we'll get rich or die trying.
It's 50X and Wayne. They like those three, like where you can decide. Yeah. You know, look, the peaks are crazy. And
they tried to make it seem like Lil Durk was in that Wayne lane, and I got offended for Wayne when they was trying to put Durk in that conversation. Crazy. But it's like those guys who had a bottle of energy that just you couldn't escape it. You know, it was probably were better artistic feats, but like those guys are inescapable during a time when you couldn't do nothing with them. And I put Wayne in that conversation, and I'd say he's become underrated because we hate the narrative. We don't hate the rapper. We hate the narrative and the noise surrounding his career. That's where I'll leave it.
And that's an interesting, you know, thing, because I think you originally kind of, you know, because we going through all of this big Gibb shit right now, this Art of Dialogue, this Melly Mel shit. And I think you were the first person to mention that it's almost kind of parallel, right? Where you see like the 80s and early 90s guys, and they're like, you know, Jay wasn't that, you know what I mean? And I'm like, we lived this Jay shit, you know what I mean? Like we saw him, we saw the rain, you know what I'm saying? And listen, guys, I'm not comparing Wayne and Jay, just the kind of reaction to how you know certain people before him feel and his peers and after, you know?
Right. You know, and it's crazy how, you know, their careers have kind of matched, and people in our comments have said like they're the same as far as they diluted the space and all of that. And I don't really want to get into that because I think it's a ridiculous take, especially for the Jay-Z of it all, because a lot of great rap has happened since Jay-Z's career. We lived, I would say, the last 2-3 years, there's been some elite rapping, you know what I mean? And if you want to say he ruined the business, commercial rap was commercial rap, and it was ruined by Bad Boy.
Right.
Jay ain't got nothing to do with that.
Listen, man, Bad Boy and Death Row. If you want to be
Talk
honest,
about,
you know what I'm saying? Like
the
we love him,
commercialization of hip hop don't got nothing to
and
do
the
with Jay-Z.
sensationalism, like, come on.
Pump your brakes. Hove didn't in this case. You know, he did a lot of things negatively, but blaming him for that.
They just mad about that.
And you could be mad at Wheezy, but the streaming did more damage to hip hop than anything else. And without Drake, without Wayne, we might not get a Drake, we might not get a Nicki, we might not get the music. Because again, I was listening. What song was I listening to the other day? Oh, I'm on one. It was on satellite. And I'm like, damn, I talk a lot of shit about Aubrey, but he was around for some great times, like 2011, 2012, 2013, hell, go back to 2009, the Throw It in the Bag remix. Aubrey, like, he did a lot of things that I was appreciative of. I don't like his albums, but he's been around. I would say he's the moment god, you know what I mean? Like, Aubrey got a lot of moments, and his affiliation with Wayne, we don't get that. So,
that Wayne Ross Drake connection was always made great music.
Oh yeah. I felt like their presence kind of made Rose push his pen. Rose whole cadence. Shout out to Diddy. I always give Diddy credit. When Rose got around Diddy and them Young Money peoples was doing their things, Rose cadence changed. His beat selection changed. His overall aura changed. And I felt like that Southern competition is key. And again, we talk about Wayne. I'll say this. How come no one talks about him as King of the South? Like, we never, like, T.I. made it a thing, but we never crowned nobody else the King of the South. I don't even hear anybody call themselves the King.
Nah, like, the King of the South is like, you know, and no offense to my Southern brothers, because I say I'm a Southern hip hop head. I remember sending Jaw a OJ the Juice Man track one day. All right, guys, which I know he didn't listen to. But, you know, I don't know if the King of the South was ever like a coveted crown. You feel what I'm saying? One thing about the East Coast,
not coveted to us, but down there.
But that's the thing. Did anybody ever say, nah, T.I., I'm the King of the South? You know what I mean? Like, I never even heard anybody, like, you know what I mean? Okay. When Biggie was on the Source cover, Nas, there's one life, one love, so we can only have one king right after. You know what I'm saying? So I just meant, you know, not that it's like the South ain't shit, but I'm like, I don't know if that's their real goal out there. I'm the King of the South. Wayne, I literally remember interviews from that era. And they asked Wayne, like, yo, do you feel offended by that? And he's like, nah, he's the King of the South. I'm the best rapper alive. And that's what we are. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know. I don't want to offend our Southern constituents any further.
If you're from the South and you're in the chat or you're in the comment section, let us know what you think about the King of the South. How coveted of a title is it? And if so, who is the King of the South right now? Reigning King of the South. Matter of fact, can we get a list of the years? Kind of like how Double XL did, like the King of Rap. Can we get like a list of the years starting with T.I., who was the first person to coin King of the South?
05.
To my knowledge, I could be wrong. Someone else could have said it. But to my knowledge, T.I. was the first one. So from 05 all the way to 2023, who has been the King of the South? Can somebody give me a list?
Put a song.
Real quick, two things. Rest in peace, Biggie Smalls. As we're recording this is the anniversary of his passing. And also, I got a little gripe, Mason. It's a little gripe. I noticed that a lot of people in hip hop, you know, ran to Eminem's defense recently.
Yes,
but on other platforms, that guy was getting slandered, and nobody ran to his defense. How do you? I feel a way that we didn't defend our brother, but then I see hip hop going and defending M after our angry old head said some bullshit about it. We all knew it was bullshit.
I found that very telling too. Right? So my first thought was, you know, maybe niggas really don't fuck with Jay like that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's the case, you know, maybe. But, you know, Eminem has always had a slew of protectors, right? And I don't want to, listen, I know how saucy the internet gets. I'm not calling nobody a COON. I'm not saying that they calling him MASSA. You know what I mean? I'm not getting into all of that disrespectful shit. You know what I mean? But there's always been kind of like a rush for when people insult him for a faction to be like, no, he's great. I remember it all the way back to when Benzino and the Source dropped them tapes. You know what I mean? Half the hip hop game, if not more, was trying to convince us that it wasn't an issue. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you know what we necessarily want to call that, you know what I mean? But with Eminem specifically, he's always had a very like, you know, and I don't know, maybe he's a nice guy. As far as I know, he's a hermit, you know what I'm saying? But maybe, you know, through interactions, through, you know, maybe they just love his art. But it's always seemed like as soon as somebody say something about him, and I'm not just talking about Royce and 50, which I know y'all are probably saying in the chat. It's a lot more than that. So
Fat Joe recently.
Right. And you know, sometimes, like, and this is no insult to him, because if y'all don't know, Eminem was my first favorite rapper, guys. Like, I could still spit from Slim Shady LP to Eminem Show bar for bar. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, kind of like when you see, like, you know, like if you walking down the block, see a little kid getting picked on, you like, nah, I gotta help him out. Then you walk down the block and you see this big brolic dude and somebody's talking disrespectful to him, and you're like, nah, he good. You know what I mean? I'm getting those vibes from it.
So protect Marshall at all costs. Got it.
At all costs.
At this point, we're going to leave you because we know we all got to get back to work.
Yes, sir.
Lunch break is over. Don't get fired. Don't get fired watching the rap round table, okay? Go back to work. Tap in with your boss. Tell them lunch was great. And they should subscribe to the channel because of some great content, especially if your boss is a rap fan.
We appreciate it.
Episode 66 is currently out right now.
Yes, sir.
We have the Nas on the cover of GQ that's also out right now. If you didn't catch last Thursday's lunch break, that is also out right now. And if you somehow or the other didn't catch the link up with Coop, that's also out. And if somehow you missed the link up with Ease, Ease, that is also out. We got a lot of content now. That's the gist of what we're saying. We're feeding this algorithm. We're putting the material out there for y'all to tap in. And honestly, we appreciate y'all doing that because the statistics month over month support you guys supporting us, putting out more material. The next time you see us and we're lacking and we're not putting out content enough, just curse us out in the comments. Say, yo, y'all slipping. We need that. You know what I mean?
Keyword of the day, y'all. Prolific.
You know what I mean? We are trying to be prolific with this content. You heard?
Yes, sir.
Mace, take us home, bro.
Hey, man, it's the Rap Roundtable. Shout out Dean and Sin, you know, out there with classic material, two force of the dream team. You know, I want to shout out to my brother Job, you know, point guarding. You know, I think his average is up to like 37 a game. Y'all let me know. I'm Macito, you know, voice of the young people, voice of the industry, you know, just a voice, man. And it's the Rap Roundtable, and we out of here.
Yes, sir. Tap in.